So in this video, I'm gonna go over my top 5 sneakers of 2021. I actually tried shooting this video yesterday. I don't know, I just wasn't satisfied with the content. And I do not like putting out content that I don't personally enjoy. I do want to clarify, my top 5 is not just going to be my top 5 personal sneakers, because as I do this more and more, I realize that my top 5 doesn't change. In fact, I think my #1 favorite shoe has been my #1 favorite shoe for like the last 5 years. So I want to focus on sneakers that I actually purchased this year. Some of them were released this year, some of them were released all the way back in 2006. And the first shoe is a shoe that I recently discussed. I can't quite decide which one I want to include in the top 5, but it is between the A Ma Maniere Jordan 3s and the A Ma Maniere Jordan 1s. Speaking of the Jordan 1s, I actually just got a second pair of these. I may end up keeping both pairs because I do really love this shoe. If you guys watched the video where I talked about getting these, I kept giving Alex crap because he was the only one in voice chat that was not able to get a pair, but he redeemed himself on the last drop. Shout out my boy Alex. He actually did get a pair because they did release a second time on the A Ma Maniere website. Pretty easy manual cop if you were aware that they were releasing a second time. That's why a lot of people that were paying attention to the drops were able to get multiple pairs of the Jordan 3s and multiple pairs of the Jordan 1s. Like I said, shout out Plus One. If you guys don't know what Plus One is my cook group that I started myself. We have all the release information, so that way you are always going to be up to date on every single sneaker that is releasing. We have complete site lists, complete raffle lists, restock monitors, so you will be notified when certain sneakers restock. I also recently added a feature where you can actually have those monitors message you directly when an item restocks. We have low-key flips, brick flips, a plethora of other services, all for $9.99 a month. You still have to put the work in, but there are tools, like for example, when it comes to copying these, we do have a Shopify autofill that actually does help with this website and allows you to check out a little bit quicker once you make it through the queue. When I started Plus One, I saw all these services that were genuinely helpful, but a lot of the groups that have these services are $30, $40, $50, or even $60 a month. And I started it because I wanted to start a group that was more affordable and could actually get people into reselling. Reselling is what changed my life, and reselling has allowed me to feed my clothing and sneaker addiction over the last several years. I'm not gonna get into too much detail about Plus One. I don't wanna take too much of your time, but if you're interested at all in reselling, or you just want a better chance to cop certain releases like this, check out that top link in the description below. Even if you're watching and you do not have a pair of these, maybe you weren't aware of the last release, if you would have joined from the last video that I did when I talked about this shoe, you would have been able to cop a pair. To me, it's a no-brainer, because even if you only got this particular shoe, the profit that you would make from this shoe would pay for the group for almost 2 years. But anyways, the reason that this is going to be in the top 5 is just because I love the design. I think they do a great job of like mixing this vintage luxury style. I love the cracked leather upper. I know some people may disagree. I love the burgundy faux snake or gator skin materials used on the swoosh and certain panelings. Of course, the quilted interior, the aged midsole. It's just such a beautiful, well-designed sneaker. And even though some people may have some differing opinions about that cracked leather upper, I just feel like in the long run, it's going to age very well and will look super good as you wear it. That being said, the reason that's kind of a tie between the Jordan 1 and the Jordan 3 is because, I don't know, I think that this sneaker helped me appreciate a sneaker that I previously did not care about. I never really cared about Jordan 3s. I grew up on SBs, and I was never really a huge Jordan guy. The more I saw it, I was like, man, that is just a gorgeous shoe. I love the luxurious materials used, like the brush suede paneling on the toe cap, by the lace system, over by the heel. Of course, that quilted interior. As I've said before, the inspiration behind the shoe was his mother. And the reason he chose a Jordan 3, because that was the first shoe that his mother bought him. And then you have these other little details that just kind of make it unique. And since then, I purchased 2 other Jordan 3s. Oh shit, what time is it? Oh yeah. It is 8:41. As you guys know, if you are not new to the channel, I do a lot of thrifting on this channel. And before I discuss my other top 4 sneakers, I gotta get to the thrift store because it opens in about 15 minutes. It's been closed for the last 2 days, so hopefully it'll be open in the next 15 minutes. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need to snow more often. There's like nobody here. This is beautiful. All right, nothing too crazy. 1990s crew necks, little 1990 USA made Russell Athletic, 1980-1990 Alabama rolled side collegiate crew neck, and then of course my favorite MC Cord Soccer Varsity. Some of you guys may already know by the little crossover in the neck, 1970s Russell Athletic, but look, no tag on the neckline. Always do some investigative research. The bottom cuff, just look at that beautiful Russell Athletic tag.
Look at that, that's nice and shiny.
Some other little pickups before I go. This Gildan tag is one of my favorites. My favorite of all the pickups though is still that 1970s Russell Athletic.
You should be around, most of you be down. Focus on your heart, test that, and they say, he ain't no good, he be from the hood.
Alright, want you guys to pause the video and let me know if you guys can guess all 5 of the sneakers. I know I'm holding more than 5 boxes, but the reason for that is because I have multiple colorways for some of the shoes that I'm showing you guys. So these are my top 5. I also have some honorable mentions that I feel deserve a little bit of spotlight. All right, so moving down the list of my personal top 5 pickups of the year, we have the Off-White Nike Dunk. And yes, this is lot 16 of 50. Some people may disagree once again on this particular pick. However, I want you to remove your opinion of the shoe because I know a lot of people complain that a lot of the sneakers were similar. They released basically 50 dunks that are almost all the same. Minor color variations between the lacing system, the tongue, the off-white tab, the tab, and then of course this little rivet in the midsole. But I think that you can't really argue the release itself is somewhat unique. Virgil and Off-White collaborated with Nike to produce 50 of these sneakers, all very similar. What's most important is if you actually see this shoe in person and you are familiar with dunks normally are not good quality unless they're SB dunks, which I always say the reason I like SB dunks is because they usually are built better. They're built to skateboard in. There's not that many dunks, especially dunk lows, that stay in my personal collection. I think the only other dunk lows I have are the Kentuckys and the Community Gardens. However, this one right here, the quality is amazing. These brush suede panels just look so freaking good in person, and the leather paneling on these is just fantastic. The majority of these 50 shoes, the main variation is that they're flip-flop. So on this one, you have suede panels. On some of the other ones where the panels here are suede, it's actually leather. The ones that have the leather outer toe box, I'm not gonna lie, they just don't feel quite as nice. Then of course you have the silver stamp on the lateral and medial side. And just overall, I was genuinely impressed with the quality of this sneaker. It was kind of between these and the ICAs. I wanted to put an Off-White sneaker in there. I know that a lot of the things that he created were somewhat controversial, but regardless of your opinions about what this man created, I don't think anyone can argue that, like, dude had a crazy influence. Just to give you an idea, there are literally kids that think Virgil was the one that created this raw tongue. And one thing I love is that he made a lot of people who did not appreciate my favorite shoe, the Nike Blazer, start appreciating some Nike Blazers. Now this next shoe was released in 2021 and it was a shoe that I picked up. Let me know if you can guess which Nike SB this is, but yes, this is definitely one of my favorite releases of the year, and it is the What the P Rods. Now this sneaker is a little bit more loud. You guys saw me pick this up and it still has maintained or stayed or remained. I don't know what word I am going to use, but basically it's remained in the personal collection. It's a harder sneaker to wear. I just appreciate the design, and I also appreciate that they did such a good job of paying homage, or I guess creating another What the Dunk. So the original What the Dunk was released in 2007, and I actually believe that was the first What the sneaker that Nike produced. Now they do What the sneakers in basketball and tons of other sneakers. And please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe this is actually the first What the Dunk, or at least the What the Dunk low, since the original What the Dunk in 2007. I could be wrong about that. I can't think of another What the Dunk low off the top of my head. So even though that What the concept became so popular for Nike, it's not something that the SB line has seen a whole lot of. In fact, I think there are actually more What the basketball shoes than What the SBs. But essentially this shoe takes a bunch of different pieces from other collaborations or other shoes that Paul Rodriguez had with Nike and hybridizes them all into this crazy, like almost impossible to wear shoe. You have this like Mexican blanket toe box, this cool embroidery on the toe, this wicker basket on the heel, the quilted interior that you guys know I love so much, the elephant print on the toe box, like so many little sick features, even down to the tongue tags actually being sewn in differently. It's just so dope how they put everything together. I look at these shoes like a freaking work of art. And also, before I move on to the next sneaker, I just see a lot of just BS. Like I see a lot of groups that just make these insanely false promises and give people false hope. When I see a lot of these groups charging 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't know, I understand, because I do think that some of those groups are completely worth that price. But the fact is not a lot of people have all the time in the world to take advantage of that. And that's why I wanted to make +1 too, is because it's one of those groups that you can literally join and you don't need to take full advantage of. You don't need to be a full-time reseller to really get your value out of it. But any group trying to sell you on like, oh, join and you'll be able to get these. Do not believe the TikToks, I promise you. That's not how it works. Like a shoe like this is basically completely released on a raffle system. So it's still luck-based. All cook groups can help. I mean, one thing I always say is that they have a complete raffle list. So sometimes with releases like this, you can actually join more than just your local skate shop and join other raffles. So it gives you a little bit better of an advantage, a little extra chance to win. But I just hate when I see groups make all these insane promises, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make +1 so affordable, because I wanted to make it so it's like, hey, even if you get one sneaker a year, the group will pay for itself. But whether you join +1 or any other cook group, I do recommend cook groups in general. It is genuinely helpful. Now moving on, you guys might have just seen the box. I feel like I'm gonna be the only person that includes this shoe in my top 5 out of every sneaker YouTuber, regardless of how big or small. But I just feel like this deserves to be here. I've talked about this shoe several times, and I just feel like people still do not appreciate how beautiful this shoe is. Yes, the Puma suede, or the collaboration between Puma and Butter Goods. I do not know if you can find these anymore. I believe they're completely sold out. If I can find any links, I will leave some links in the description down below. No, this video is not sponsored. When I first showed these off, there were people like, oh, you only like those because you're sponsored. And it's like, no, I haven't done a sponsored video with Puma in quite some time. I just genuinely love this shoe. Just like I appreciate the A Ma Maniere Jordan 1s for being just a super clean collaboration, and it has like this good mix of luxury and vintage. That's why I like this shoe. The leather interior is super nice. You have this suede Puma logo, this super clean corduroy upper. This came in 3 separate colors. It came in the blue, orange, and it came in the cream, which I almost bought, or natural, I should say, but I almost bought the natural color. The only reason I didn't is because I already have too many shoes in that colorway. Definitely a slept on shoe. Now these shoes did have a little bit more of a premium price tag, but I love Puma suedes in general because normally you can get a Puma suede, which is a super clean everyday shoe that you can style with different fits for 70 bucks. And to be honest, they have a very similar silhouette to a Blazer Low. I do want to give Puma credit. I believe the Puma suede came out before the Blazer Low. Being that I love Blazers, I just think Puma suedes in general are great alternatives, and I love this collaboration. So yeah, that would be like my number 4. And my number 5, probably my favorite pickup of the year. I'm really curious if anyone has guessed it yet. Yes, you see that beautiful black box. You probably already know what it is. If you're wondering why I have 3, it's because I have all 3 colors. But we have the Supreme Blazers. One of my favorite shoes, still to this day. A shoe that has never gone out of style in my personal opinion. You have this all quilted upper, faux snakeskin swoosh, Gucci-esque checkered strap on the back with this little gold tab, the Nike SB hit right there on the tongue, the gold lace locks. This could literally be an A Ma Maniere collaboration today. And they were released 15 years ago, yet this shoe is still so freaking beautiful. One of my all-time dream shoes that I could just never afford. Got the black pair. I also got the red pair. Shout out Sneak City, man, because really Tio was the one that scoured the earth and hunted all these down for me. But yeah, what's crazy is when I first got into SBs, like these weren't even really my style. I mean, I liked the quilted stuff and I liked them. But as I've said, those Tiffany SB Dunks right there, those were like my absolute dream shoe. And I would try to get those, but honestly, those ones are actually kind of hard for me to get. You see how high up they are, and I'm not that tall. I have to like literally hang my torso off of the balcony. Shout out my boy Untied Hawaii. He's actually the one that sold me those. He sold them to me for a good deal. Those have gone up in price drastically. It's another shoe that I just kind of wanted to have in the collection. I thought about selling a lot of my sneakers, and I don't know which ones I would keep or which ones I would sell, but those are the like sneakers that would be actually hard for me to part with. I remember when I first got into this, I would get a lot of my SBs from either Northwest Snowboards or 35th Ave. If you are from the Pacific Northwest, you probably know what Northwest Snowboards is or was, because obviously they did close down, which is kind of a bummer. But I remember the Northwest Snowboards in Tacoma actually had a pair of the Tiffany Dunks on display, like in a case. I think they were listed for sale. Like they were actually listed for a resale price, but they were listed at a price where like no one was gonna buy them at that time. And I ended up paying that exact same price later on, like 10 years later, but obviously since then the price of those sneakers have just shot up. The main reason they did not make them in my top 5 pickups of the year though, although that sneaker means a lot for me in my own personal history with sneaker collecting, I think if that shoe was released today, it wouldn't be what it was. Of course, that being said, we do have some honorable mentions. This is the sneaker that I would have included if we did not limit ourselves to purchases within 2021. Collaboration between Nike SB and Huff. Rest in peace, Keith. But this sneaker right here, I've always said, when I first got into sneakers, we didn't really have money, so me and my friend Josh would actually trade sneakers. So there'd be sneakers that he would buy, there'd be sneakers that I would buy. I remember he had this, so I never purchased a pair back when this originally released because I would just wear his. But I always wanted this shoe. I love this sneaker. It's just a super clean clean, all natural canvas upper. Back then, a lot of the SB Blazers were strictly suede. Them doing this super cool canvas with this like almost non-existent branding. I mean, you see like the super thin little stitch line that makes the Nike swoosh. You see the Nike embroidery on the back right there, the super thin tongue. It just wasn't as common, and it's just a cool sneaker. And at the time, it was like the perfect shoe because I love Nike SBs, but I also really like Vans Authentics because they were $40 and I could get every single color. This was like that cool mix. It was an all canvas upper, but it was still that beautiful Nike SB Blazer silhouette. And what's crazy is I don't know what these go for now, but I actually purchased these for like 50 bucks, brand new. Some other shoes that I wanted to put in the personal, the Carpet SB Dunks. Now, when I first got into SBs, I never really liked Dunk Highs. I will say, I actually think I prefer Dunk Highs over Dunk Lows now. I also wanted to give an honorable mention to the Birkenstock Mule. Gotta show love to the OGs. We see a lot of companies doing mules, fear of God. In fact, I'm wearing Vandy mules right now, which these things are so freaking comfortable. Of course, because it's a collaboration with my favorite brand, Stussy, you see the little Stussy D-Boss logo on the brushed suede upper. I don't know, they're not the most comfortable because they have a cork sole. I am aware of the fact that the more you wear it, the more this becomes comfortable, but I just hate the idea that I have to literally wear this for like years before it actually becomes super comfortable. And the last two honorable mentions I want to give, of course, I need to show love to the Fragment Travis Scott Jordan 1, a collaboration that just like perfectly embodies the commercialization of sneakers. This is just a sneaker I did not expect to see. You have someone who is arguably, prior to this recent situation, the most commercialized rapper of all times, collaborating with like an OG in the community. Obviously collaborating with Fragment, which was founded by Hiroshi Fujiwara. And to be honest, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with that shoe because recently Nike did postpone their next Travis Scott collaboration, and with all the backlash, I'm kind of curious to see if we ever see another Travis Scott Nike release. And the last honorable mention, no one will be able to guess this one, I guarantee you. But I need to show love because a lot of you guys may not even be aware of this, but yes, the Artifact Air Force One. If you guys do not know what Artifact is, you guys may have seen some recent news that Nike actually purchased Artifact, but you guys may not have known that they did some sneaker releases back in the day, and one of them was this Bones Air Force One. I actually did show this off on the channel at the time. It has a little dog tag with my Instagram handle right there. And just being that the NFT space has gotten so big that this company that essentially released unofficial Air Force Ones was then purchased by Nike. It's just a crazy time for sneakers because Artifact is predominantly known for their NFTs. Speaking of NFTs, a lot of people were judging me when I spent $16,000 on that little JPEG image right there. I said I was gonna keep updating you guys. Well, just the other day I was offered $35,000, which is like $7,000 or $8,000 more than the last time I updated you guys. Still didn't sell it. So once again, we will see if I regret that decision. I just needed to include that for everyone that was saying I was stupid for spending my money on that NFT. I may do a top 5 vintage pickups or like maybe my favorite vintage pickups of 2021. Not quite sure. If you guys would like to see that, of course, let me know by smashing that like button down below, showing some love in the comments. I do appreciate you. Everyone who does interact with these videos, that's what helps these videos do well. And without you guys commenting, liking, sharing, any of that stuff, I cannot keep making content. Let me know in the comments down below, what are your top 5 favorite sneakers of the year or your favorite pickups, or maybe even just the top 5 sneakers that you want to pick up that released this year. Let me know what you guys think of my top 5, which ones you agree with, which ones you disagree with. I'm genuinely curious, but I don't know, man. Don't sleep on Puma. I'm a firm believer. If A Ma Maniere literally released this exact same shoe and it was on a Nike Blazer low, people would be geeking over it. Oh my God, bro, that shoe's so sick. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate you from the top and bottom of my heart. As always, keep living the star life. Peace.
Star life, Chris say shooting on Mets. Got these thoughts been ran through. Goddamn it, like back chief, keep drop. I don't like that shit.
You think I'm gonna fuck with a bucket that's gonna break down on me? You ain't no Honda. I don't give a fuck who you is. You gonna break down on me.